So I told you about all the events this weekend. There's another event this weekend as well that is worth your attention. WWE TLC, my friends, this Sunday at the SAP Center in San Jose, California, the Shark Tank, if you will, formerly known as the HP Pavilion. One of the very anticipated matches on that card is a three-way women's TLC match, the very first of its kind in WWE history. Asuka, Charlotte Flair, and the SmackDown Women's Champion, Becky Lynch. Now, you may have heard of the name Becky Lynch on this program. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was doing the post show with New York Rick, and it was coming off a very busy weekend in combat sports. And I told New York Rick that there was one story in particular that I was very high on, that I was all in on, that I thought was the story of the week. And I told him that I was all in on the man, Becky Lynch, the pride of Limerick, the pride of Ireland, the SmackDown Women's Champion, Becky Lynch of World Wrestling Entertainment. And she was entangled in this feud with Ronda Rousey, and a few of her tweets got my attention. Of course, I knew of her before. She's been in WWE for quite some time. I've seen her at UFC events, but something changed over the last few months, and she had really caught my attention. And of course, you know, getting involved in the feud with Ronda Rousey and some of the things that she was saying and tweeting about, I thought was phenomenal. So I was all in. And at that point, I made it my mission to have the man on this program. Now, as you may know, she's a very busy person. She's very in demand. A lot of people want to talk to the man. And for a little while, she was on the sidelines. She had to be medically cleared. She's preparing for a big match this Sunday. But my friends, as they like to say in the biz, the man has come around, and she is here on this program. You have all been talking about it. You have all been asking me, when are we going to have Becky Lynch on the show? And since we announced it yesterday, everyone has been reaching out about it, asking me if it was for real, if it was true, if the rumors were true. Here she is, the SmackDown Women's Champion, the pride of Limerick, the pride of Ireland. The one and only Becky Lynch is joining us on the phone right now. Becky, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful, Ariel. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What's the crack?
Oh, the crack is mighty.
Mighty. I thought you were going to say 91. I heard that when it's 91, that means it's the best ever. The crack is 91.
The crack will be 91 when I retain my title at TLC and walk out of there still the champ. Always the man.
Okay. I appreciate the way you did that. Thank you very much for coming on the show. I know that you're very much in demand these days, and it's a very busy time for you, so I really appreciate it. I know a lot of people are excited about having you on the show as well. A lot has happened to you in particular over the past month or so. I know it kind of all really started to ramp up over the summer when you turned on your friend, Charlotte Flair, and all that stuff, but it seems like over the past month, something has changed. And, you know, for someone like myself, who is just sort of learning a lot about you and has known you from afar, I say, wow, this is amazing. It's a meteoric rise. But you've been in this business, correct me if I'm wrong, for around like 16, 17 years. This is not like an overnight thing. Is it kind of wild for you that that you're now the hottest thing in pro wrestling, that everyone's talking about you, not just in pro wrestling, but in my world as well? You have caught everyone's attention. Is this kind of surreal at this point?
It is a bit, but it's what I've always envisioned, you know. It's what I've been working towards since I was 15. Like, I left home at 15 and was traveling around the world trying to make this happen, trying to make this dream happen. And here we are. It just took a lot of self-belief to get there. And there were so many times when I would doubt myself and wonder if it was ever going to happen for me, and I would get to a certain spot and then I'd get knocked down and taken off TV, or something would happen, and then it would have to be a rebuilding of myself. But right now, I've never had so much belief, and that's what makes me the man.
Where does that belief come from all of a sudden?
So I think it's practice, right? And it's just constantly going out there. It's constantly grinding. It's constantly achieving different things. And even if it's small little steps, it's moving forward, right? And anytime I'm working out or whatever it is, I just keep saying to myself, just don't stop, just keep moving. It doesn't matter how slow you're going, you just got to keep moving. And eventually you get that confidence in yourself. And it's not from thinking yourself into confidence, it's from action, you know? So we went from, say, for example, there was money in the bank, right, this year. And every time I climbed that ladder, you could hear the fans were right behind me, and they wanted me to succeed, and they wanted me to win. And I could feel them willing me on, and it drove me. And, of course, then people were using nefarious means, and they have for years, to beat me and to torch me, if you will. And it came to a point where enough was enough. I saw people doing these things to get ahead, and I said, well, if that person's getting it, they don't have half the skill. They don't have half the drive. They don't have half the passion that I do, but they're getting ahead, and they're beating me time and time again. Well, then I have to do something, and I have to believe in myself, because if I don't, then nobody else will.
So it's all well and good to believe in yourself, and that's, that's the beginning of it all. But to have this attachment with the audience, and for them to invest in you the way that they have, especially as of late, and for you to be as popular as you are now, and for everyone to just go crazy after every tweet, after everything that you say, how does that happen? Why do you think all of a sudden there seems to be this incredible following that has built behind you?
So I don't know that that's all of a sudden. So I think it's just more prominent now.
Okay.
But I think what I felt so blessed with the entire time, my entire run with WWE, is I've always had a connection with the audience. They've always backed me. They've always supported me. And it didn't matter how low on the totem pole that I was. They would still cheer for me. They would still root for me. Obviously, it wasn't the groundswell that we're having now, but they were always there, because I think they could relate. Right? Anybody can relate to that person who's not naturally gifted, but that works hard and that does the right thing, but is constantly overlooked, and who is trying everything possible to fulfill their dreams, but maybe they don't have the right pedigree, right? Or maybe they don't have the right backing or whatever it is. And they're overlooked, and I think anybody can relate to that. Also, I think anybody can see just how much I love this business, right? And I think that comes across to the audience. I think it comes across on the screen, and then I think they know how much I appreciate them. So I think it's a mutual respect.
So considering that long journey, and considering everything you've been through, and you've seen other people, get things that you thought you deserved, what are you thinking? Around a year ago this time, I believe it's around 11 months ago, when Ronda Rousey enters that locker room, and she's getting the big push, and they're talking about her at WrestleMania and that big match with Stephanie McMahon and Triple H, etc. And you've been doing this for so long. Ronda Rousey, who's an accomplished athlete, of course, an Olympian, bronze medalist, UFC champion, but never really, paid her dues, if you will, the regional scene of pro wrestling. What are you thinking at that time?
Well, look, the thing is what I always wanted, and what I set off, coming from Ireland, to do, was to make sure that women's wrestling was the coolest thing on TV, right? And that people cared about it. And when you have a star like Ronda Rousey coming in, then it brings eyes, it brings attention. So for me, that was a case of, all right, this person is here, this world-class athlete, this champion, this Olympian is here. So now it's time to step up, right? But show her who the man is, who the boss is, who runs this show, right? And so that's another opportunity to step up. And Ronda she's doing amazingly well. She's doing amazingly well, and has taken to this like a duck to water. She is talented beyond belief, and she's a world champion. She's got the women's championship over in Raw, but she's illegitimate until she faces him. And that's the thing. Ronda has been so successful in her life. And Ronda's whole life has been founded on being unbeatable. And I get beaten up all the time. I get beaten up twice on the way over here. But that's the thing with people who are born naturally tough like Ronda. They hate getting hit, right? They're not used to it. But I was the runt growing up. I've been beaten up my entire life. I've been beaten up my entire career. I left Ireland when I was 15 to come over here to do this, and I would fight anybody they would hire me to. So I wasn't born tough like Ronda, but I was made tough. And that's what's more legitimate, and that's what's more long-lasting.
Was there any resentment that she was getting this big push, she was getting all this attention, and she hadn't paid her dues in the business?
Oh, well, absolutely. But that's the thing with so many people, right? There's chosen people, the people that they want to succeed, right? And that was never me. That was never me. I was never the one that was meant to succeed. I was never the one that was meant to be the champion, the one that was meant to be on top, the one that was meant to be on the posters, the DVDs, the billboards. But I think that's what's made it all the bit more sweeter. And I think that's what the audience relates to, is because they can see that. And that, I think, is why they have supported me, because I've made this myself, and nobody can take that away from me. Nobody can take that away from me.
You were supposed to compete against her at Survivor Series, and then several days before, you get punched in the face, and they said you broke your face. Could you tell us legitimately what the injuries were that you suffered?
Yeah, so I got a severe concussion, and I broke my nose, so I was in hospital that night. After the event. So I completely blacked out after I got hit, right? But I rolled to the ropes, got up again. I guess my autopilot kicked in, and I smashed half of Raw, including Ronda Rousey. So it turns out that my autopilot is a badass too. Then I ended up in hospital. Got checked myself out, showed up to SmackDown the following day, tried to fight, but they've got some very strict concussion protocols. They're looking out for our safety, so they wouldn't let me fight. And then I showed up to Survivor Series, hoping I could get in there, hoping that they would let me fight. They wouldn't let me fight. And so then I showed up to work the next week, and I said, enough is enough. I'm getting cleared, and I tried to do everything in the meantime to get cleared. Took my rest, which was the hardest possible thing to do, because I'm used to going nearly 300 days a year, working out 7 days a week. But it took my rest. It took my fish oil, my CBD oil, things that was supposed to help get my brain better quicker. So now I still have the broken nose, obviously, but nothing I can't fight through.
So that gift that I've now seen a gazillion times of you with your face all bloody and just kind of being the man, are you, like, do you have no recollection of that? Or were you, like, completely out of it at that point?
Completely out of it. I was completely out on my feet.
Wow, that is unbelievable. Now, I would imagine that you would be really mad at the woman who punched you in the face, Nia Jax. I mean, I know you guys were performing, but obviously she didn't want to seriously hurt you. I would imagine in that moment you probably hated her. But in hindsight, I feel like you owe her a bouquet, because I feel like that's the greatest thing to ever happen to you. You do know that, right?
Well, hopefully it'll lead to bigger and better things, because I think now the fight that people want to see is me versus Ronnie.
Yeah, but they want to see it on a bigger stage.
They do want to see it on a bigger stage, and I think WrestleMania is a pretty damn big stage.
What are the chances of you two, and this has never happened before for those that don't know, it's a common thing in our sport for females to headline a UFC event, and especially big ones, but what are the chances, honestly, in your heart, of you two headlining WrestleMania next year in New Jersey?
That's my goal. That's all I can think about. That's all I want. That's what I'm living it right now. It's what I wake up thinking about. It's what I go to bed thinking about. If I had a vision board, that would be on my vision board. But I think the possibility is, I think it's right there, right? Like and for no other reason than I think it's the fight that people most care to see, right? So it doesn't matter what the gender is, or if it's for an evolution or whatever. People care about this fight, and it's the one that people will care about the most. So it should be the main event.
And so for me, where my interest was truly piqued was when you wrote to her on Twitter, and you were responding to a tweet where she was saying, "Oh, I'm sorry that you couldn't make it," and whatnot. And this is what you wrote to her. You said, "When I got my face broke, I got up, owned you, then showed up the next day looking to fight some more. When you got your face broke, you hid for a year under your blankie. Your mind is as weak as your jaw, and I'm going to move heaven and earth to come destroy them both." Now, to me, this was fascinating, Becky, because I was wondering, when Ronda's passed, and in particular, the way she left MMA because it was unceremonious at best. I was wondering when and if that would be brought up at some point, and I felt like there was only one opportunity to do it right. Someone was going to get the opportunity to do it, and they had to do it right. And I think you smashed it. You nailed it. Everything that you've been doing, bringing this up, it's just been perfect. And so I'm wondering if I can expand on that sentiment, do you not have respect for her, the way she handled those losses? She's never really addressed them. She didn't talk to the media in between, the two losses, and then she just kind of disappeared. She never really formally retired. The way she handled that, did you lose respect for? I know you've watched UFC, you've watched MMA in the past. Is that just not the kind of person that you respect?
So I have a ton of respect for Ronda, right? When you look at UFC, like we've got to question whether women would even be in the octagon if it wasn't for Ronda and what she had and what she brought to the table. And she was undoubtedly the best at the time and brought women's sports and women's MMA up to a whole other level and category that we've never seen before, right? And I don't know if we'll see it again, right? Because she was phenomenal. My point in that is that being a champion is about being tested, right? And what I've done is being tested time and time again. I have lost countless amounts of time, and that means nothing to me because I know I get back up again. And I don't think that she could do the same thing. So what we'll really see, when we'll really see Ronda being tested in my sport, is when she gets knocked down, and I'm the person to do that.
What is she like backstage?
She talks to everybody. She's driven. She wants to do good in the sport, but winning comes so effortlessly to her. That I don't know how she's going to handle it when somebody can come in and hand her ass like I'm going to.
Who gave you who came up, if not yourself, the moniker The Man, which I think is incredible, by the way?
The Man. So I throw a lot of stuff. I've got a friend back home, and I throw a lot of stuff around, and we often talk about, and it's this talking about mindset, right, and about confidence and about being the man. So my friend Paul O'Brien and I, we would talk back and forth, and he would always say, "You're the man," and I would say, "I am the man. I am the man." So then I started to believe that I am the man, and I would start to throw it out there, and now I am the man. Everybody knows I'm the man.
And I've heard her say, like, look, you're a woman. You should be proud of being a woman. Why are you calling yourself a man? This is exactly what we don't need. What is your response to that?
Because, and that is a thing. That's such a small-minded thing because I'm not talking about gender. I'm not saying I am a man. I am saying I am the man. The man has been used as a moniker to being the top dog in our business. And if she knew anything about our business, she might know that, right? So it's what Ric Flair called himself. He said, to be the man, you got to beat the man. Well, there is nobody else who is on top of the totem pole like I am right now. So therefore, I am the man. And being the man is all about believing in yourself, right? It's about believing in yourself more than other people believe in you, right? So the man in the mail room can be the man, right? The woman that's running a Fortune 500 company can be the man. But in my business, there's only one man, and that is me.
I mentioned at the top of the show that the Irish are killing it in all forms of combat sports. There's yourself in pro wrestling. Of course, there's Conor, who is still the top draw in MMA, and no one's even close. There's Katie Taylor in boxing as well, who's actually competing this weekend as well and doing great things. And so I've seen you and Conor, you've interacted online. Have you ever met Conor? Have you ever trained with Conor?
I've never met him. What a legend, though. And, I've been a big fan of his work for a long time. I used to train in SBG back in Ireland. They had a school in the city centre. They still do. So I used to go down there and take kickboxing classes. And I trained with John Kavanagh, another legend.
Wow.
Back last year. And so I'm going home for Christmas, and I think I might have to take another stop to SBG, pick up a thing or two so I can bring back and own Ronnie some more.
Did you ever consider going into MMA?
No, I don't. There might have been maybe a flash of an idea in my head, but for me, that's not my passion. That's not where my passion lies, and I know how much discipline goes into that sport and how much you really have to love it, right? Like, you really have to love my sport. And for me, the love is just, it's solely for what I do.
Okay, and so I'm surprised, even when you were at SBG, you never saw Conor there, even before he was famous?
So they have two schools, right? They've one, yeah. They have two schools, and I was in the one in the city centre, just because it was closer to me, and they were on the Long Mile Road, so that's where he would train. But and so this is even before he came to UFC and before the rise of Conor McGregor. You'd always hear his name around town. You know, you always heard that Conor McGregor was a beast and that he was going to make it. And I don't know that. God, I don't know that anybody could have predicted this, but he really has paved the way for the Irish in MMA and just in combat world and just in the world in general, the world in business. He's doing incredibly.
Yes, I feel like he's given a lot of Irish people just a lot of confidence. I remember going there in 2014 when he returned to fight in Dublin, and young kids came up to me and were like, wow, you know, if he could do it. We were talking about why they like him, and they were telling me, if he could do it, then we could do it. We can get out of here. We can be, you know, international superstars. And I feel like you're doing the exact same thing. And so I would imagine you're hearing, like, for the Irish, who are such proud people, but maybe in the past have not had international superstars outside of the world of football, if you will. I would imagine you're hearing from a lot of Irish people now who are inspired by what you're doing.
Absolutely, and I think that's one thing that I love coming from where I came from, is there is a lot of pride in the Irish and what we do and what we go out into the world and what we bring, and I think we bring a little bit of charisma and banter that maybe is unmatched by anyone. And we like to have a good time, and I think people always navigate that, right? They gravitate towards that. But yeah, no. So to be able to go back, to be able to do shows in Dublin and hear the crowd erupt the entire time off, it's humbling and it's amazing, and I couldn't be prouder.
Conor always says he wants to go to Croke Park to headline a show there, and he hasn't been able to get it done, the curfew and whatnot. But I feel like perhaps a big house show or so, they don't have to play by the same rules in WWE. What about you headlining Croke Park? I feel like you could do it.
That would be phenomenal.
Let's go. What do we have to do?
Yeah, and I could bring him along. I could show him a thing or two. Myself and Conor versus Bonnie and Kurt Angle or something.
Oh, I didn't mean like a mixed tag match, if you will. I feel like you deserve that stage by yourself.
Possibly, but that would be pretty freaking cool, and yes, I think the Irish people would enjoy it.
Yes, I think a picture at this point of you and Conor together would break the internet. I feel like that's what everyone's just waiting for.
It could happen.
And when are we going to see you at a UFC event again? I feel like you went to a few and now you don't go anymore.
Whenever. So we're on the road 52 weeks a year, right? And that's usually Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, especially for me, right? So whenever I get a Saturday off and there's a UFC event, I will be there.
Okay. Well, I look forward to that.
I was watching on Saturday. What a phenomenal card.
Oh, really? And do you find that you're more interested in the female fights?
I am, but I can't say enough good things about Ortega versus Holloway. Holy moly! And just how much heart Ortega showed, and Holloway just being an absolute beast. But I think it is, yeah, and I think that's probably why women's wrestling is getting so big right now, because you look right, and I don't know if it's a conscious thing, but you size everybody up. You're like, I can see her, whatever, you know.
Yes.
It's just what you say. So I think it's, you identify with whatever gender you are watching. It makes it more interesting.
Well, I wish you continued success. You have caught not only my attention, but a lot of people in the MMA community, a lot of people in the sports community, just in general. What you've been doing has been really entertaining, and it's of course, I know you've been told this, but it's somewhat reminiscent of Stone Cold Steve Austin and CM Punk. These are the characters that we love because it sort of relates to what we go through in our day-to-day lives and our struggles as well. So what an honor and what a pleasure to have you on the program, Becky. I wish you the best of luck this weekend, this Sunday, WWE TLC, another historic event for you, another milestone for you, the first female TLC match. Good luck in that match, and good luck headlining WrestleMania this April. I hope that you get that dream realized. I hope that you get that opportunity, and I hope you get to do it against Ronda Rousey, because what a huge feather in your cap that would be. All the best to you, and hopefully if that does come to fruition, we can have you back perhaps in studio on the program.
That would be amazing. Thank you so much, Ariel.
All right, all the best to you. The pride of Limerick, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, Sean Sheehan, Limerick's finest. How about that? The SmackDown Women's Champion, Becky Lynch, on the program.